live. Hello. See a few people in here. How are you guys doing tonight? Took me a bit to get things set up after I created the live. It's always something to change. Let's see, I'll start a poll. See if anybody comes in. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Current bitrate is 0. Well, that's odd. Hello, how are you doing? Hello, I see people starting to come in. Oh, hi John, how are you tonight? Oh, hi Manuel. See a bunch of people coming in. How are you guys doing tonight? Oh, did you? Hi, Nellie. It was a random thought because I like to have a little poll to get people talking about stuff, and I'm always trying to think of what to poll people on. And I don't myself have a, oh, thank you, Manuel, have a prayer closet, but, you know, I pray just everywhere I am, and if I need to be alone, I'll just come in and lock my bedroom door. Is the volume okay? It's on a different speaker now. It's on one monitor instead of the laptop. Okay, bye John. Thanks for stopping in. Hi, Mr. Sir. That's funny. I call my kids Mr. Sir and Little Sir. You have a prayer altar, Nellie? What's that like? When I was younger, I used to be super eloquent in prayer, and I was studying praying the names of God, you know, and I would, you know, just have these really spirit-fueled and filled prayers, and I was well-spoken. And now my brain fog gets in the way. I'm not so eloquent, but also I kind of wonder if, I don't know, I question myself, like, were those prayers, you know, not bad, but not good. I wasn't doing it for attention. It was just I was well spoken and eloquent, and so I don't know, just a random thought. Let's see, it's just my Bible, across a candle I have from church, and a doll that represents my culture. I think my prayer is the most powerful there for some reason. I don't know how, it's just I'm more focused there. Okay, that's good. At any rate, if anybody needs prayer, feel free to let me know. And if you're not wanting to be out loud or not wanting to talk about it, you can just drop the praying hands emoji and I will pray for you silently. And God knows your need. I don't have to, but I am here if you want to listen and chat about it as well. Wow, 60% don't have a prayer closet. That means 40% do. That's interesting. I just don't have the space for it, if I'm honest. But like I said, I just talk to God all throughout my day. What did you do today, Nellie? And how's everybody's day been? Oh, and what time is it where you're at? It is 11:35 here. I'm in Washington State, for those who don't know. The visual, Fluffy? I like your name, DJ Big Fluffy. I love it. Is it the visual or the song? Actually, I just heard what you're talking about. I think that one, the two keys that are hit in a row, kind of sounds like that. Yeah, what I'm playing in the background right now is just one of my videos. It's like a go to sleep fast kind of thing. But you can find that in my ASMR playlist. I'm not super big on ASMR, but I know some people are, and I do feel like some of the ASMR kind of toes the line of being kind of pagan or something, and also tends to, in my opinion, get sexual. I've seen some stuff, and even when they're acting like it's innocent, it's just got kind of a, I have discernment, and I call it my spidey senses are going off, you know. So I like to create some ASMR that's more on the Christian side of things, where it is really just for that certain sound input, and mine is usually more of the like nature sounds, where it's birds or like, you know, a babbling brook, and sometimes it's just music. Because when my kids were little, and even now, I used to try and find like the longest lullaby videos that I could, that had calming pictures and nice music that would help them get to sleep, because all four of my boys have insomnia. They were diagnosed by doctors, and it's been a ride with the sleep situation at my house for all 17 years of it. But and then I started thinking, well, why don't I do some of those videos? And because a lot of times the pictures will be too vivid. Oh, slime ASMR. You mean like that sound that slime makes? Oh, see, I have misophonia, and that would just really bug me. See, the slime to me sounds a lot like when they're doing this. Let me see. The smacking. Ugh. Any of those kind of sounds. Like I can't handle it. I have to really pray for the Holy Spirit to help me with my self-control when that kind of sound comes on. I can't stand it when like cats and dogs are licking themselves or eating food, or people are noisy with their food. Not my bag, yo. But to each their own. And as long as, you know, it isn't inappropriate, then I think it can be okay. I'm really just kind of rambling. But that's kind of what we do around here, huh, Nellie? Oh, I think Kenny wants to do a mukbang, Nellie. I said I can't be a part of that because you know I'd be one of those women, real big women. I mean, I'm not like super plus size or anything, but I'm a big woman, and I would be one of the ones that died on screen during a mukbang. That's happened a few times, and I'm always like, could not be me, because I can't sit there and eat in front of a camera. Oh, listen, Nellie, I think that people choose to be offended a lot of the times. You can think something's disgusting. Like, it could be, you know, cinnamon rolls, and they can be disgusting to you without me thinking that's offensive, or you know what I mean. But with mukbangs generally, you do hear their mouth sounds, and I can't handle it. But Kenny just wants to do it, I think, to just pig out. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's the one that was telling me that. Let me message him really quick. He is out in his room. Yes, exactly, Fluffy. We are. We're all different, and that's okay in most ways. There's certain kinds of different that just ain't okay, you know what I'm saying? But most of the time, we are our own unique individuals, and that's okay. Yeah, see, I'd have to put it on mute and put it on like 2 times speed just so I could get through and see like what they're eating to get meal ideas. Oh, a mukbang is those videos where people sit and they have a ton of food and they eat just all this different food. Now, I think we've all had a personal mukbang here and there, right? Where we just pig out. I actually used to do, I'd call it a smorgasbord, where, you know, you're not sure what you're in the mood for, or you're in the mood for a little bit of this from somewhere and a little bit of this from somewhere else. And I'm sure we've all been on those streets and towns. I'm sure every actual city has one, but where all the fast food restaurants are in a row. So we'd go to like Taco Bell and get a couple tacos, and then we'd go to McDonald's and get a burger or whatever, and then we'd go to here, there, everywhere, wherever we like the fries, we'd get that, you know what I mean? And then the dessert somewhere else. And that's always nice when you're with somebody, because people don't, or restaurants generally don't have like mini things. And of course everything's expensive now, so this would be totally out of the question anyway. But you know, if you're with somebody, you can split a fry and split a this and that, and then each get your burger or entree from somewhere. Avocado guy, I don't think I'm familiar with an avocado guy. Does he eat avocados? I know there's one lady I've been seeing a lot that I don't know what exactly her deal is, but she always puts mustard on stuff, and it's some kind of a diet that she's doing. So she puts mustard on everything, and she's always eating like a big sausage and I think cottage cheese with mustard and stuff. That's always kind of strange, but she always eats in front of the camera, and I don't know. Yeah, Fluffy, that's what, I mean, it's not like an all the time thing. I mean, now you can barely afford to eat out ever, but especially when you have 4 kids. 4 boys, and they all have hollow legs, except for my littlest one. He's not a big eater yet, but the other ones, goodness. I mean, it used to be you could feed yourself, your whole clique, all your friends. Whoever had money, you trade off who having money, and then you could all get enough to eat and hang out. And now it's ridiculous. You can't even really afford fast food for one person. But it is fun. I'd like to have that kind of a restaurant where you just have a bunch of different stuff, kind of like a buffet, only not a buffet, because who wants people's fingers all up and everything, right? Hello, everybody coming in. How are you doing tonight? We're just hanging out, chit-chatting. Right now we're talking about food. That comes up quite often on my lives, though. Well, love to you, too. God bless. How are you doing tonight? Everything is expensive, Fluffy. You're so right. It's atrocious, the price of things these days. So, a lot of times we play Bible Trivia, or I will put on the Bible Randomizer, and it's just a site that shuffles through all the chapters of the Bible, and then when someone says stop, I click stop and read the chapter it gives us. Or trivia, or we can just hang out and talk too, which we kind of talk through everything anyway, but let me see. Oh wow, we got more votes and it's still 67% no and 33% yes. So still more close on the no. Or actually a little more so on the no. Do you guys have kids, or are you kids yourself? You never know who you're talking to on the internet, right? But I also, for those that are interested, I have a Discord server. The link is in my channel description. And sometimes I'll be on there in the lounge and people can get on there and do a voice call, so their voice is also on the live. We'll do that when we have a topic, or a lot of times during my prophecy Bible study that I do on Tuesdays every week. I'm going to pop in onto the live myself so that I can get an idea how the sound... Oh, there's some waves for you. That doesn't sound great on my speaker. Let's see, I've got it open on my phone. I want to see what the delay is. Oh, not bad at all. It sounds like the volume of the music is really low though. Let's see. Maybe I'll turn it up a wee bit. There, we'll see how that is. You guys let me know if it gets too loud or anything. %71 now on the prayer closet. Yeah, I have the sound set to one of my monitors instead of on the laptop. And it sounds a little gravelly or something to me. Yeah, it's like it sounds like the speaker's not real good. It's kind of rattly or something. I think I'll change my sound settings. Oops. Okay, let me see. Oh, I don't have USB speakers. So where? A golden doodle dog? I've heard they're a lot. Like, they're expensive and they're also just like a lot to deal with, the type of dog they are. And I think the grooming is a big situation. I don't know what happened to one of my sounds. It has, or one of my speakers has gone away. No, I don't want to add a device. I just want the device I already had. Okay, here's the all sound devices. There we go. Okay, this might get loud in a second. Or maybe not. It's not. Oh, I don't know why it's saying USB. It's not a USB. It's in my actual laptop. Why is it not giving me sound? Oh, here, let's try this one. Yeah, for some reason it says it's disabled. Here we go. Okay, so let's try this. This might wake you up. Okay. So why isn't it playing now? It says it's working. And all should be well. So why isn't it making the sound of the video? Oops, that's not what I wanted. Interesting. Oh, Steven's talking in his sleep again. I'm going to call in the professional. Let's see. Literally calling in the professional. Calling the professional. Nope, the professional is not answering. Oh, hey, you're on live with me here.
Hello.
This is Kenneth.
Hello, people.
My speakers on my laptop will no longer work. And I don't know why. Can you come and fix it, please? It'll work just fine on the monitor, but not on the laptop. And I did the test and everything, so I'm sure there's some setting I've dinked around with too much. This one says default, even though I put it not allow. Okay, and you are in the room.
Hello.
The professional has arrived. See it, look, when the video is playing right now. Yeah, there's no sound.
In OBS, is it saying that there is? It is.
I know the sound is actually happening because when it's on that monitor it works.
Oh, wait.
But I wanted to put the sound back on my laptop.
Yeah. Here, hold on.
Turn that off because it'll make echo.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This is system sound. Oh, what did you do?
So here, I should probably show you this. With audio devices, this is your volume. Next to your volume is always going to be a select sound output. This will show you all your output devices.
Yeah, right, but I'm in that here. System sound, all sound devices.
Let's see.
And whatever I did in there, it didn't make that work. What is spatial sound?
I don't think from this. I think if you have like a special kind of like boombox setup where you have a mixer and different surround sound stuff.
Wanting to make it so that the sound is split between my laptop and that monitor, but I can't seem to make that work.
Yeah, I think that to do something like that, you'd need to have a mixer, like a separate whole thing. You could probably get one for $20, but it really wouldn't be worth it.
Okay. All right.
It'd probably be better to just get speakers on their own that you can use to... But you might need to get a USB splitter if you want to have the mouse, the microphone, the everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever have problems with that, or even problems on here, that's what I'm doing every time I'm fixing it. I'm just moving around between the different devices, seeing if one of them outputs audio, if one of them starts making audio happen in OBS.
Yeah.
They're audio output and input devices. This is an input device. The microphone speaker in here is an output device. So is the speaker in the screen. They'll show up there. If they don't show up, then it means that there's something wrong with the connection rather than something wrong with the audio itself.
Okay. Look, I asked if they have a prayer closet. 7 votes and 71% no, but some people apparently do have a prayer closet. Let's see what they're saying in the comments.
I think having a little prayer space would be cool, but I feel like just a room is nice as long as it's quiet.
Yeah, well, I just don't have the space. I just come in and close and lock the door if I need that.
Yeah.
Like the button you click to call a flight attendant on a plane. Yeah, that little chime is okay. The one for the monitor though, it does a loud screech kind of thing, so I was worried. Bye-bye, thank you. Oh, never mind. I thought there was something else. Yes, the professional has helped. So, how is the music volume now? Here. Now I'm going to have a mukbang because I'm going to have a piece of banana cream cake or whatever this is. But I will try my darndest to not let you hear me because I would be mortified, I think. I'm always worried about leaving dead air. That's why I like to have the music on there too, but let's see. I think I will bring up some Bible trivia. Let's see, I'm going to make this smaller so I can see. Expert level, because we'll see if we can get some really good hard ones. Okay. Let's see, it's giving me the same. Looks like it's just me and you tonight, Nellie. Oh, somebody else is popping in. How are you doing tonight? I was pulling up some Bible trivia questions. Okay, so I think some of these are probably ones we've had before, but that's okay. Let me see, I want to do some hashtags in the comment section here. And I will type out my questions as I say them too. That way people can read them later when they come in. Okay. So which king consulted physicians instead of the Lord and died from a foot disease? Sorry, excuse me. Okay, so which king consulted physicians instead of the Lord and died from a foot disease? Was it Hezekiah, Asa, Jehoshaphat, or Uzziah? Yeah, I mean, I know Angel's not in here right now, but usually somebody occasionally needs them repeated. No, it was not Jehoshaphat. So which king consulted physicians instead of the Lord and died from a foot disease? Was it Hezekiah, Asa, or Uzziah? Hello to those just coming in. I actually need to put the question in that one as well. Oops. And I will repeat the question. Which king consulted physicians instead of the Lord and died from a foot disease? Nope, it was not Uzziah, Nellie. So was it Hezekiah or Asa? The hint is early trust in God, but slipped later. Nope, the answer is Asa. Okay, here's the next one. Who prophesied naked and barefoot for 3 years as a sign against Egypt and Cush? Was it Jeremiah, Isaiah, Ezekiel, or Amos? Who prophesied naked and barefoot for 3 years as a sign against Egypt and Cush? It was not Amos. So was it Jeremiah, Isaiah, or Ezekiel? The hint is not your typical wardrobe for a prophet. Who prophesied naked and barefoot for 3 years as a sign against Egypt and Cush? It is not Ezekiel. So was it Jeremiah or Isaiah? Excuse me. Do you want the answer? I mean, I guess one more guess either gets it or tells us, right? So. Okay, so the answer in that one is Isaiah. What is the only psalm attributed to Moses? I don't think we've had that question before. Is it Psalm 77, 90, 104, or 8? The only psalm attributed to Moses. Nope, it is not 8. The hint is it begins with, Lord, you have been our dwelling place. Yes, 90 is correct. Good job. Who pulled Jeremiah out of the cistern? I will type that in the comments as well. Was it Baruch, Hananiah, Abed-Melech, or Gedaliah? You remind me of Batman in the Lego movie. First try. We say that all the time around here. If we miss something a few times, we'll be like, first try as soon as we get it. Abed-Melech. Yeah, it's Ebed-Melech. Good job. So, who wore a yoke to illustrate submission to Babylon? And I will put it in the comments. Was it Zephaniah, Micah, Jeremiah, or Haggai? Oh, I love Charlie Kirk. He stays in my Facebook Reels feed. I love that he stays calm, but he's still just like says it like it is, and it's great. It is not Zephaniah. So is it Micah, Jeremiah, or Haggai? The hint is another prophet broke it dramatically. Yeah. I had already followed Turning Point. In fact, they may be who brought him through my feed. Nope. So the answer is Jeremiah. Jeremiah wore a yoke to illustrate submission to Babylon. Who had 70 sons riding on 70 donkeys? Man, 70. I have 4. And that's crazy sometimes. So was it Abdon, Jer, Ibzan, or Elon that had 70 sons riding on 70 donkeys? Yeah, I think he's really helpful. You didn't learn a lot about politics growing up? It's not Elon, but that's funny. Yeah, I knew exactly what you meant. So, who had 70 sons riding on 70 donkeys? It was not Elon. So was it Abdon, Jer, or Ibzan? And the hint is he judged Israel and lived in the hill country of Ephraim. For those just coming in, the question is, who had 70 sons riding on 70 donkeys? Was it Abdon, Jair, or Ibzan? Because we've already ruled out Elon. Yeah, 100%, Nelly. I didn't get a lot of it growing up either, I guess, but or in school. Nope, the answer is actually Abdon. Okay, so our next question is, who killed a lion in a pit on a snowy day? And I will give you the options as soon as I put the question down in the comments. Was it Joab, Benaiah, Abishai, or Asahel who killed a lion in a pit on a snowy day? Daniel is not one of the options. Let me see. Doing some dinking with the settings again here. There we go. Nope, it was not Abisahel or Asahel, I think. Asahel? Okay, so who killed a lion in a pit on a snowy day? Was it Joab, Benaiah, or Abishai? The hint is one of David's most elite warriors. No, it was Benaiah. So, who rebuilt Jericho and lost his sons in the process? Oh yeah, Riley Gaines she's really coming up. So was it Hiel, Omri, Jehu, or Shalom who rebuilt Jericho and lost his sons in the process? No, not Omri. So was it Hiel, Jehu, or Shalom? Yeah, what do you think of Candace Owens? I used to like her. In fact, some years back, I was saying if she ran for office, I'd vote for her, but something has changed with her recently. Really? She's gotten really into gossip, and also she's definitely into, like, what do you call it, conspiracy theories, and that's no big deal, but some of the stuff, like right now, how she's going after the president of France, and how she thinks his wife is a man. She's really hell-bent on that, and I'm not sure like why it's such a big deal. But I haven't followed it a lot either. It's just that, I mean, they're suing her over it, and they already lost a lawsuit. It was thrown out because they said there was no defamation. And usually if there's no defamation, it means what the people are saying is true. So everybody surmised that that means she was right, that the wife is a man, but I don't know. So I just don't know why there's such a big deal about it. But I used to really like her, and now she's just kind of changed. So who rebuilt Jericho and lost his sons in the process? We already learned it's not Omri. So is it Hiel, Jehu, or Shallum? Yeah, the gossiping is it's kind of odd. She kind of went into kind of like rag mag type of stuff for a while. I haven't seen so much of that lately, but she's been kind of all consumed with the conspiracy theory stuff. And I don't know what's true or what isn't, because the stuff that she's talking about, I just have no idea. I'd never even seen the president of France or his wife before, so I haven't a clue. Let's see, have you heard of Brett Cooper? She quit the Daily Wire a few months. Yes, Brett Cooper. I love Brett Cooper. I was so glad when she finally brought her own YouTube out. And no, the answer is Hiel. Hiel is who rebuilt Jericho and lost his sons in the process. And the next question is, which prophet rebuked King Jehoshaphat for helping wicked Ahab? And I'll give you the multiple choice once I put the question down in the comments. So again, which prophet rebuked King Jehoshaphat for helping wicked Ahab? Was it Nathan, Jehu son of Hanani, Micaiah, or Elijah? Yeah, she does seem very sweet. And she's super into her farm homesteading kind of life. And, you know, she's pregnant now. I'm sure you know that. She's gorgeous, too. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's quite pregnant now. She also has signed on with Fox News, I think, as a commentator, like a regular commentator. Which prophet rebuked King Jehoshaphat for helping wicked Ahab? Was it Nathan, Jehu, Micaiah, or Elijah? Yeah, she is. I think they've only been married like a year, but I could be wrong about that too. I don't keep up on people's personal lives much. Oh wow, we got 100% on a yes for having a prayer closet in the other live. That's cool. Okay, so the hint on this question is his father had also rebuked a king. And the question was, which prophet rebuked King Jehoshaphat for helping wicked Ahab? Was it Nathan, Jehu, Micaiah, or Elijah? And the answer was not Elijah. And again, the hint was his father had also rebuked a king. It is Jehu. Jehu, son of Hanani. Okay, the next question is, which book contains a riddle about eagles and cedar trees? I'll give you the option as soon as I put it in the comments here. Was it Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, or Zechariah? I'll repeat the question for those just coming in. Which book contains a riddle about eagles and cedar trees? Is it Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, or Zechariah? Oh, you guessed it. I didn't see your comment come through at first. Yes, the answer is Ezekiel. So the next Bible trivia question is, get it down in the comments here. Which king was denied burial with the kings and compared to a donkey? Ouch. Let me see. The options are Manasseh, Amon, Jehoiakim, or Zedekiah. Which king was denied burial with the kings and compared to a donkey? Oh, more people just coming in, so I'll repeat it again. Which king was denied burial with the kings and compared to a donkey? Manasseh, Amon, Jehoiakim, or Zedekiah? Do some emojis down here too. Now you got me wanting to do emojis. Let me see. Something new. Oh, I'll do my favorite combos, I guess. Here we go. Let's see. Manasseh sounds right. It is not Manasseh. So is the king that was denied burial with the kings and compared to a donkey Amon, Jehoiakim, or Zedekiah? And the hint is his death fulfilled a harsh prophecy. Lay down, baby.
Sorry, it's just yes.
Do you go potty?
Yes.
Talking in your sleep. Relax. I love you. Okay, so which king was denied burial with the kings and compared to a donkey? We already established that it's not Manasseh, so is it Amon, Jehoiakim, or Zedekiah? Jehoiakim, and you are correct, and it's spelled Jehoiakim, Jehoiakim. Okay, so on to the next question. Let me see. Who fasted for 3 days before going to the king uninvited? Oh, I'm not even going to give them multiple choice because I'll bet you'll know this one. I'll give the multiple choice here in a minute, though, if you don't. Who fasted for 3 days before going to the king uninvited? Was it Judith, Esther, Deborah, or Hannah? Yes. For those just coming in, who fasted for 3 days before going to the king uninvited? Was it Judith, Esther, Deborah, or Hannah? Nope, it is not Hannah. And neither was it Jesus. The hint is, she said, if I perish, I perish. Another hint, there's a good VeggieTales about it. Who fasted for 3 days before going to the king uninvited? It was not Hannah, so was it Judith, Esther, or Deborah? The hint being, she said, if I perish, I perish. No. Nope, it was Esther. Have you read the story of Esther? Okay, so which psalm is the shortest chapter in the Bible? Is it 23, 117, 119, or 131? The shortest chapter in the Bible. Which psalm is the shortest chapter in the Bible? Oh, you haven't? It's a good one. Nope, it's not 131. Which psalm is the shortest chapter in the Bible? The hint is just 2 verses long. Was it 23, 117, or 119? Yes, 117. That is correct. Which high priest was killed with 85 priests by Saul's order? Was it Abiathar, Ahimelech, Zadok, or Phinehas? Which high priest was killed with 85 priests by Saul's order? Samuel isn't an option. It's either Abiathar, Ahimelech, Zadok, or Phinehas. And the hint is his son escaped and later served David. Oh, you weren't listening to the options. The options were, let's see, which high priest was killed with 85 priests by Saul's order? Was that Abiathar, Ahimelech, Zadok, or Phinehas? Oh, I see. You're saying, never mind. It was not Phinehas. The hint is his son escaped and later served David. So was it Abiathar, Ahimelech, or Zadok? For those just coming in, which high priest was killed with 85 priests by Saul's order? Was it Abiathar, Ahimelech, Zadok? We already found out it is not Phinehas. His son escaped and later served David. Nope, it's not Zadok. It is Ahimelech. Do you want me to read Esther? I could read Esther since we're sitting here. Might as well. Let me get my Bible open. Okay, so BibleGateway.com. Oh, no, I did not change that. I'll read it in New King James for you, because I know that's the one you like. Okay. Let me get a drink first. Okay. Esther chapter 1, New King James Version. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This was the Ahasuerus who reigned over 127 provinces from India to Ethiopia. I'm going to pull up the pronunciation of this, just so I don't keep hashing it. Okay. Ahasuerus. Wow. I'm going to need like you to say that out loud, because that doesn't help. Let's see.
Ahasuerus.
Ahasuerus. Okay. That's helpful. Okay, so Esther chapter 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This was the Ahasuerus who reigned over 127 provinces from India to Ethiopia. In those days when King Ahasuerus, I think I pronounced it wrong again, sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the citadel, that in the 3rd year of his reign he made a feast for all his officials and servants, the powers of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes of the provinces being before him, when he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the splendor of his excellent majesty for many days, 180 days in all. And I'm actually going to pop this in the title that we're reading Esther. on just a sec. Okay, one more. All right. And when these days were completed, the king made a feast lasting 7 days for all the people who were present in Shushan the citadel, from great to small, in the court of the garden of the king's palace. I don't know why the music suddenly got way louder. There. And when these days were completed, the king made a feast lasting 7 days for all the people who were present in Shushan the citadel, from great to small, in the court of the garden of the king's palace. There were white and blue linen curtains fastened with cords of fine linen and purple on silver rods and marble pillars, and the couches were of gold and silver on a mosaic pavement of alabaster, turquoise, and white and black marble. Huh. Okay. And they served drinks in golden vessels, each vessel being different from the other, with royal wine in abundance, according to the generosity of the king. In accordance with the law, the drinking was not compulsory, for so the king had ordered all the officers of his household that they should do according to each man's pleasure. Oh, do you? Hey, Angel. Yeah, I actually have a friend who calls me Huck. That's my nickname. Uh-oh, looks like we're having streaming issues, but what is new, right? I don't know what its problem is now. I hope you're having a good night at work. Okay, let me see. I'm not sure what its deal is, but I'll try and fix it once again. Try this. See if that does it. It's funny you came in and said that right as I was changing the title. Okay. Queen Vashti also made a feast for the women in the royal palace, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. I forgot again already. Ahasuerus. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zathar, and Carcass. What a name, Carcass. 7 eunuchs who served in the presence of King Ahasuerus to bring Queen Vashti before the king wearing her royal crown in order to show her beauty to the people and the officials, for she was beautiful to behold. But Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's command brought by his eunuchs. Therefore the king was furious, and his anger burned within him. Then the king said to the wise men who understood the times, for this was the king's manner toward all who knew law and justice, those closest to him being Karshina, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marcina, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, who had access to the king's presence and who ranked highest in the kingdom. What shall we do to Queen Vashti according to law, because she did not obey the command of King Ahasuerus? I'm going to call him A-Dog. Brought to her by the eunuchs. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Queen Vashti has not only wronged the king, but also all the princes and all the people who are in all of the provinces of King Ahasuerus. Ahasuerus. For the queen's behavior will become known to all women, so that they will despise their husbands in their eyes when they report King Ahasuerus commanded Queen Vashti to be brought in before him, but she did not come. This very day, the noble ladies of Persia and Media will say to all the king's officials that they have heard of the behavior of the queen. Thus there will be excessive contempt and wrath. If it pleases the king, let a royal decree go out from him, and let it be recorded in the laws of the Persians and the Medes? Or Medes, I've just been saying Medes, so that it will not be altered, that Vashti shall come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal position to another who is better than she. When the king's decree which he will make is proclaimed throughout all his empire, for it is great, all wives will honor their husbands, both great and small. And the reply pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. Then he sent letters to all the king's provinces, to each province in its own script, and to every people in... Hi, Kaios. How are you tonight? Let me see. Mark 12:30-31. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. Amen. Second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. Yes, so true. Love God and love people. I'm just going to finish this first chapter of Esther. Then he sent letters to all the king's provinces, to each province in its own script, and to every people in their own language, that each man should be master in his own house and speak in the language of his own people. And that was Esther chapter 1. Then we carry on to chapter 2. Let's see. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and close off the other stream. Okay. Things should be running more smoothly now. I might even be able to run this at a better quality. We shall try. Okay. You're impatient. Yeah, the first chapter is just kind of the lead in. Okay. Esther becomes queen. Here you go. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus subsided, he remembered Vashti, what she had done, and what had been decreed against her. Then the king's servants who attended him said, "Let beautiful young virgins be sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather all the beautiful young virgins to Shushan the citadel, into the women's quarters, and under the custody of Haggai, the king's eunuch, custodian of the women. And let beauty preparations be given them. Then let the young woman who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti." This thing pleased the king, and he did so. In Shushan the citadel there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite. Kish had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captives, who had been captured with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And Mordecai had brought up Hadassah, that is, Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. The young woman was lovely and beautiful. When her father and mother died, Mordecai took her as his own daughter. So it was, when the king's command and decree were heard, and when many young women were gathered at Shushan the citadel under the custody of Haggai, that Esther also was taken to the king's palace into the care of Haggai, the custodian of the women. Now the young woman pleased him, and she obtained his favor, so he readily gave beauty preparations to her, besides her allowance. Then 7 choice maidservants were provided for her from the king's palace, and he moved her and her maidservants to the best place in the house of the women. Esther had not revealed her people or family, for Mordecai had charged her not to reveal it. And every day Mordecai paced in front of the court of the women's quarters to learn of Esther's welfare and what was happening to her. Each young woman's turn came to go in to King Ahasuerus after she had completed 12 months' preparation, according to the regulations for the women, for thus were the days of their preparation apportioned: 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with perfumes and preparations for beautifying women. Thus prepared, each young woman went to the king, and she was given whatever she desired to take with her from the women's quarters to the king's palace. In the evening she went, and in the morning she returned to the second house of the women, to the custody of Shazgaz, the king's eunuch, who kept the concubines. She would not go in to the king again unless the king delighted in her and called for her by name. Now when the turn came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as his daughter, to go into the king, she requested nothing but what Haggai, the king's eunuch, the custodian of the women, advised. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all who saw her. So Esther was taken to King Ahasuerus into his royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. The king loved Esther more than all the other women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins. So he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast, the feast of Esther, for all his officials and servants, and he proclaimed a holiday in the provinces and gave gifts according to the generosity of a king. When virgins were gathered together a second time, Mordecai sat within the king's gate. Now Esther had not revealed her family and her people, just as Mordecai had charged her, for Esther obeyed the command of Mordecai as when she was brought up by him. In those days, while Mordecai sat within the king's gate, 2 of the king's eunuchs, Bigthan and Teresh, doorkeepers, became furious and sought to lay hands on King Ahasuerus. So the matter became known to Mordecai, who told Queen Esther, and Esther informed the king in Mordecai's name. And when an inquiry was made into the matter, it was confirmed, and both were hanged on a gallows, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles in the presence of the king. And Esther chapter 3. Hang on just a sec here. Okay, I'm going to pause the music because it's getting tiresome to me. I wish I could just listen to music, but they don't allow it. Got a little chilly in here. Okay. Let me see real quick, actually, what my settings are looking like. I can turn the mic down now that the music is not on. So how is that level? Does that sound okay? I will also check in the YouTube app myself. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Okay, so there's about a 5-second delay. Yeah, that sounds like a good level, I think, doesn't it? Okay, so there's about a 5-second delay. Yeah, that sounds like a good level, I think, doesn't it? Okay, so there's about a 5-second delay. Yeah, that sounds like a good level, I think, doesn't it? Okay. Should be good. Okay. So chapter 3. Better have a drink. Haman's conspiracy against the Jews. Now it's getting good. After these things, King Ahasuerus, this is the most random Bible story I would ever read, promoted Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes who were with him. And all the king's servants who were within the king's gate bowed and paid homage to Haman, for so the king had commanded concerning him. But Mordecai would not bow or pay homage. Then the king's servants who were within the king's gate said to Mordecai, "Why do you transgress the king's command?" Now it happened, when they spoke to him daily, and he would not listen to them, that they told it to Haman, to see whether Mordecai's words would stand, for Mordecai had told them that he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow or pay him homage, Haman was filled with wrath. But he disdained to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had told him of the people of Mordecai. Instead, Haman sought to destroy all the Jews who were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, the people of Mordecai. Uh-oh. Did the video totally just tank, or... It says 0 people are in here. What's going on? Oh. Okay, let's take this off and do this. Is the stream going okay, Nellie? Okay, good. All right. In the first month, which is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman, to determine the day and the month until it fell on the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, "There is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of your kingdom. Their laws are different from all other peoples, and they do not keep the king's laws. Therefore it is not fitting for the king to let them remain. If it pleases the king, let a decree be written that they be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those who do the work, to bring it into the king's treasuries." So the king took his signet ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. And the king said to Haman, "The money and the people are given to you, to do with them as seems good to you." Then the king's scribes were called on the 13th day of the first month, and a decree was written according to all that Haman commanded, to the king's satraps, to the governors who were over each province, to the officials of all people, to every province according to its script, and to every people in their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus it was written, and sealed with the king's signet ring. And the letters were sent by couriers into all the king's provinces, to destroy, to kill, and to annihilate all the Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and to plunder their possessions. A copy of the document was to be issued as law in every province, being published for all people, that they should be ready for that day. The couriers went out, hastened by the king's command, and the decree was proclaimed in Shushan the citadel. So the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Shushan was perplexed. So we will go on to chapter 4. When Mordecai learned all that had happened, he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes and went out into the midst of the city. He cried out with a loud and bitter cry. He went as far as the front of the king's gate, for no one might enter the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province where the king's command and decree arrived, there was a great mourning among the Jews, with fasting, weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maids and eunuchs came and told her, and the queen was deeply distressed. Then she sent garments to clothe Mordecai and take his sackcloth away from him, but he would not accept them. Then Esther called Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs, whom he had appointed to attend her, and she gave him a command concerning Mordecai, to learn what and why this was. So Hathach went out to Mordecai in the city square that was in front of the king's gate. And Mordecai told him all that had happened to him and the sum of money that Haman had promised to pay into the king's treasuries to destroy the Jews. He also gave him a copy of the written decree for their destruction, which was given at Shushan, that he might show it to Esther and explain it to her, and that he might command her to go into the king to make supplication to him and plead before him for her people. So Hathach returned and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Then Esther spoke to Hathach and gave him a command for Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces know that any man or woman who goes into the inner court to the king, who has not been called, he has but one law, put all to death except the one to whom the king holds out the golden scepter, that he may live. Yet I myself have not been called to go into the king these 30 days. So they told Mordecai Esther's words, and Mordecai told them to answer Esther, do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? That's where that phrase comes from, Nellie. For such a time as this. I'm sure you've seen that. Then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai, go gather all the Jews who are present in Shushan and fast for me. Neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise, and so I will go to the king, which is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther commanded him. And that was Esther chapter 4. We'll go on to chapter 5 here in just a second. Let me see. Okay. Yeah. Good verse. Now it happened on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the king's palace across from the king's house, while the king sat on his royal throne in the royal house, facing the entrance of the house. So it was, when the king saw Queen Esther standing in the court, that she found favor in his sight, and the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. Then Esther went near and touched the top of the scepter. And the king said to her, what do you wish, Queen Esther? What is your request? It shall be given to you, up to half the kingdom. So Esther answered, if it pleases the king, let the king and Haman come today to the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, bring Haman quickly, that he may do as Esther has said. So the king and Haman went to the banquet that Esther had prepared. At the banquet of wine, the king said to Esther, what is your petition? It shall be granted you. What is your request? Up to half the kingdom, it shall be done. Then Esther answered and said, my petition and request is this. If I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it pleases the king to grant my petition and fulfill my request, then let the king and Haman come to the banquet which I will prepare for them, and tomorrow I will do as the king has said. So Haman went out that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, and that he did not stand or tremble before him, he was filled with indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman restrained himself and went home. And he sent and called for his friends and his wife Zeresh. When Haman told them of his great riches, the multitude of his children, everything in which the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the officials and servants of the king. Moreover, Haman said, besides, Queen Esther invited no one but me to come in with the king to the banquet that she prepared, and tomorrow I am again invited by her along with the king. Yet all this avails me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then his wife Zeresh and all his friends said to him, let a gallows be made 50 cubits high, and in the morning suggest to the king that Mordecai be hanged on it. Then go merrily with the king to the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, so he had the gallows made. Audacious. Esther chapter 6. That night the king could not sleep. So one was commanded to bring the book of the records of the Chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs, the doorkeepers, who had sought to lay hands on King Ahasuerus. Then the king said, what honor or dignity has been bestowed on Mordecai for this? And the king's servants who attended him said, nothing has been done for him. So the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman had just entered the outer court of the king's palace to suggest that the king hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. The king's servant said to him, Haman is there, standing in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king asked him, what shall be done for the man whom the king delights to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, whom would the king delight to honor more than me? And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delights to honor, let a royal robe be brought which the king has worn, and a horse on which the king has ridden, which has a royal crest placed on its head. Then let this robe and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that he may array the man whom the king delights to honor. Then parade him on horseback through the city square, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. Then the king said to Haman, hurry, take the robe and the horse, as you have suggested, and do so for Mordecai the Jew, who sits within the king's gate. Leave nothing undone, or all that you have spoken. Yeah, well, there goes his ego, huh? So Haman took the robe and the horse, arrayed Mordecai, and led him on horseback through the city square, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. Afterward Mordecai went back to the king's gate, but Haman hurried to his house, mourning and with his head covered. When Haman told his wife Zeresh and all his friends everything that had happened to him, his wise men and his wife Zeresh said to him, if Mordecai, before whom you have begun to fall, is of Jewish descent, you will not prevail against him, but will surely fall before him. While they were still talking with him, the king's eunuchs came and hastened to bring Haman to the banquet which Esther had prepared. Yeah. So the king and Haman went to dine with Queen Esther, and on the second day, at the banquet of wine, the king again said to Esther, what is your petition, Queen Esther? It shall be granted you. And what is your request? Up to half the kingdom, it shall be done. Then Queen Esther answered and said, if I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it pleases the king, let my life... What in the world was that? That startled me. I guess it was Stephen's phone dying. Goodness. I'm going to start that part over. Then Queen Esther answered and said, if I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it pleases the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we have been sold, my people and I, to be destroyed, to be killed, and to be annihilated. Had we been sold as male and female slaves, I would have held my tongue, although the enemy could never compensate for the king's loss. So King Ahasuerus answered and said to Queen Esther, who is he, and where is he, who would dare presume in his heart to do such a thing? And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. So Haman was terrified before the king and queen. Yeah, right? The gasps, I know. Then the king arose in his wrath from the banquet of wine and went into the palace garden. But Haman stood before Queen Esther, pleading for his life, for he saw that evil was determined against him by the king. When the king returned from the palace garden to the place of the banquet of wine, Haman had fallen across the couch where Esther was. Then the king said, "Will he also assault the queen while I am in the house?" As the word left the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. Now Harbonah, one of the eunuchs, said to the king, "Look, the gallows, 50 cubits high, which Haman made for Mordecai, who spoke good on the king's behalf, is standing in the house of Haman." Then the king said, "Hang him on it." So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then the king's wrath subsided. I like it because this book, it got to it pretty quickly. Haman to hangman. Am I right? Goodness. Okay, so chapter 8. On that day, King Ahasuerus gave Queen Esther the house of Haman, the enemy of the Jews. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told how he was related to her. So the king took off his signet ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai, and Esther appointed Mordecai over the house of Haman. Now Esther spoke again to the king, fell down at his feet, and implored him with tears to counteract the evil of Haman the Agagite, whatever, and the scheme which he had devised against the Jews. And the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king and said, "If it pleases the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seems right to the king, and I am pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to revoke the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to annihilate the Jews who are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that will come to my people, or how can I endure to see the destruction of my own countrymen?" Then King Ahasuerus said to Queen Esther and Mordecai the Jew, "Indeed, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and they have hanged him on the gallows because he tried to lay his hands on the Jews. You yourselves write a decree concerning the Jews, as you please, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's signet ring. For whatever is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's signet ring, no one can revoke." So the king's scribes were called at that time in the 3rd month, which is the month of Sivan, on the 23rd day, and it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded to the Jews, the satraps, the governors, and the princes of the provinces from India to Ethiopia, 127 provinces in all, to every province in its own script, to every people in their own language, and to the Jews in their own script and language. And he wrote in the name of King Ahasuerus, sealed it with the king's signet ring, and sent letters by couriers on horseback, riding on royal horses, bred from swift steeds. By these letters the king permitted the Jews who were in every city to gather together and protect their lives, to destroy, kill, and annihilate all the forces of any people or province that would assault them, both little children and women, and to plunder their possessions. On one day in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, I'm still stumbling on it, on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. A copy of the document was to be issued as a decree in every province and published for all people, so that the Jews would be ready on that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. The couriers who rode on royal horses went out, hastened, and pressed on by the king's command, and the decree was issued in Shushan the citadel. So Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, with a great crown of gold and a garment of fine linen and purple, and the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. The Jews had light and gladness, joy and honor. And in every province and city, wherever the king's command and decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a holiday. Then many of the people on the land became Jews, because fear of the Jews fell upon them. Oh, how the turntables, right? Hang on just a second. I'm going to message kind of. Okay. Now in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day, the time came for the king's command and his decree to be executed. On the day that the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower them, the opposite occurred, in that the Jews themselves overpowered those who hated them. The Jews gathered together in their cities throughout all the provinces of King Ahasuerus to lay hands on those who sought their harm. And no one could withstand them, because fear of them fell upon all people. And all the officials of the provinces, the satraps, the governors, and all those doing the king's work helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For Mordecai was great in the king's palace, and his fame spread throughout all the provinces, for his man Mordecai became increasingly prominent. Thus the Jews defeated all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, with slaughter and destruction, and did what they pleased with those who hated them. And in Shushan, the citadel, the Jews killed and destroyed 500 men, also Parshandatha, Dalphin, Ashbatha, Paratha, Adalia, Aridatha, Parmashta, Arase, Arade, and Vajezatha, the 10 sons of Haman, the king of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Jews, they killed. But they did not lay a hand on the plunder. On that day, the number of those who were killed in Shushan the citadel was brought to the king. And the king said to Queen Esther, the Jews have killed and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the citadel, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now what is your petition? It shall be granted to you. Or what is your further request? It shall be done. Then Esther said, if it pleases the king, let it be granted to the Jews who are in Shushan to do again tomorrow according to today's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged on the gallows. So the king commanded this to be done. The decree was issued in Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. And the Jews who were in Shushan gathered together again on the 14th day of the month of Adar, and killed 300 men at Shushan, but they did not lay a hand on the plunder. The remainder of the Jews in the king's provinces gathered together and protected their lives, had rest from their enemies, and killed 75,000 of their enemies, but they did not lay a hand on the plunder. This was on the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th of the month they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Jews who were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day, as well as on the 14th and on the 15th of the month they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Jews of the villages who dwelt in the unwalled towns celebrated the 14th day of the month of Adar with gladness and feasting as a holiday, and for sending presents to one another. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters to all the Jews near and far who were in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, to establish among them that they should celebrate yearly the 14th and 15th days of the month of Adar, as the days on which the Jews had rest from their enemies, as the month which was turned from sorrow to joy for them, and from mourning to a holiday, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, of sending presents to one another and gifts to the poor. So the Jews accepted the custom which had begun as Mordecai had written to them, because Haman the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had plotted against the Jews to annihilate them, and had cast Pur, that is the lot, to consume them and destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letter that this wicked plot which Haman had devised against the Jews should return on his own head, and that he and his son should be hanged on the gallows. So they called these days Purim, after the name Pur. Therefore, because of all the words of this letter, what they had seen concerning this matter, what had happened to them, the Jews established and imposed it upon themselves and their descendants and all who would join them, that without fail they should celebrate these 2 days every year, according to the written instructions and according to the prescribed time, that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city, that these days of Purim should not fail to be observed among the Jews, and that the memory of them shall not perish among their descendants. Then Queen Esther, the daughter of Abihail, with Mordecai the Jew, wrote with full authority to confirm this second letter about Purim, and Mordecai sent letters to all the Jews, to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus, with words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim at their appointed time, as Mordecai the Jew and Queen Esther had prescribed for them, and as they had decreed for themselves and their descendants concerning matters of their fasting and lamenting. So the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book. On to Esther 10. And King Ahasuerus imposed tribute on the land and on the islands of the sea. Now all the acts of his power and his might, and the account of the greatness of Mordecai, to which the king advanced him, are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was second to King Ahasuerus, and was great among the Jews, and well received by the multitude of his brethren, seeking the good of his people, and speaking peace to all his countrymen. And that was the book of Esther. We read it in whole. Yeah. Not just in, he had 10 kids. Or at least 10, because they only mentioned the sons. I mean, there could be daughters too. Could have been, I mean. Oh, yeah. There's some short books in the Bible that, well, you don't have to finish them all in one day. You can. I mean, and actually, I can't remember. They have a how fast you could read the Bible. How long to read the whole Bible. 67 to 74 hours. But, of course, that's not really learning, you know. Hello, Samantha. How are you doing today? Tonight, I guess, or maybe. I believe you're ahead of me by quite a lot, right? What time is it there? If you read one verse of the Bible, it takes, per day, it takes 83 years. Wow. Well, I mean, I guess getting one verse a day is better than nothing, but that's not really digging into the word like we ought to be, right? And then, you know what book is after Esther, don't you, Nellie? Yep, Job. The one you plagued me with. I've gotten that so many times in randomizer. Pardon me. So do you have plans for the weekend? I just remembered it was Friday a minute ago. Let me see. Goodness. Yawn, yawn, yawn. And Janelli and Sly Steven plaguing you with Joyless Job. Job, I mean. Yeah, that's okay. It's not bad, honestly. It's just heavy. Just heavy, that's all. Goodness me. Once again, having issues with the stream. What a shocker. You still there? Oh, there we go. I think Esther is the one book in the Bible that doesn't explicitly mention God, too, right? I was thinking. Yeah, no, the name of God is not mentioned in the book of Esther. Oh, there might be more than one. Oh, it has a lot to do with God. I mean, they're his chosen people. You should watch the Veggie Tales about Esther. That's a good one. Yeah, it's not. Right, of course. Or Psalms, or many. Ah! I accidentally full screened the live, and it's a 27-inch screen and it's sideways, so it just went real long. They put it on at the pediatrician office when I was younger. Yeah, but those were the newer seasons. I wasn't sure if they were Christian. Oh yeah, that one is. Yeah, a little bit of a jump scare. Oh, my stomach is growling. Oh goodness. I think I'm gonna have to call it a night, honey. But that was fun to read Esther again. And now you can say you have read Esther. It's hot? It's hot right now? little chilly. It's 58 degrees outside right now. And it's supposed to only be like 70 degrees today. Oh, you're wearing a sweater. Oh, goodness. Yes, God bless you too, and sleep tight and dream sweet when you do go to sleep. I am going to have myself a snacky snack and take my medicines and get to bed, so I will see you next time. And keep up your daily community posts. I really like that. Good night.